वेलकम टू IGCSE सुदर्शन स्टूडियो। जिस चीज का आपको इंतजार था फाइनली वो डिक्लेयर हो चुका है, यानी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ IGCSE रिजल्ट्स की, जो कि 2026 में आज के दिन सुबह मेरे ख्याल से 8-10:30 को रिजल्ट्स डिक्लेयर हो चुके हैं। जिन बच्चों ने एग्जाम लिखा उनके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाइयां, आपने बहुत अच्छा किया, बहुत अच्छे मार्क्स लाए। A स्टार हो या A हो वो जरूरी नहीं है, जरूरी ये है कि आपने वन ऑफ द टफ एग्जाम या टफेस्ट एग्जाम को फेस किया है। तो आप सब का शुक्रिया, आपने एग्जाम लिखा और फिर बहुत ही अच्छे मार्क्स आए होंगे। आशा करता हूँ आपको बहुत अच्छे मार्क्स आए होंगे, और अगर नहीं भी आए हैं तो फिर चिंता करने की बात नहीं, क्योंकि मार्क्स सिर्फ एक डिजिट होते हैं, कुछ समय बाद हर कोई इसे भूल जाता है। जरूरी ये है कि आप आगे भी कोशिश करते रहिए और अपना इंटरेस्ट पढ़ाई और अपने फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट में ध्यान दीजिए। तो चलिए करते हैं आज का इस वीडियो की शुरुआत। तो इस वीडियो का एक्चुअली कारण ये है कि जो रिजल्ट हमारे पास आए हैं IGCSE के, वो तो अच्छे हैं ही, लेकिन एक खतरनाक चीज भी है जो हमारे देश के लिए और हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम के लिए बहुत भयानक हो सकती है। अब देखिए, कैम्ब्रिज जो रिजल्ट 2026 जो रिजल्ट इंडिया का अनाउंस हुआ है, ओवरऑल अगर हम इसका ग्रोथ देखें तो 7% इंक्रीज इन एग्जाम एंट्री हुई है। टोटल पार्टिसिपेटिंग स्कूल्स जो थे 447 हैं, और ये जो था एग्जाम लार्जेस्ट एग्जामिनेशन सेशन इन इंडिया। तो आप देखिए कि IGCSE स्कूल 7% बढ़ चुके हैं इस 2025-2026 में, यानी एक साल में 7%। इसी के साथ इंटरनेशनल स्कूल्स जो AS और A लेवल है, ये 12% आउट ग्रोथ हुए हैं। कैम्ब्रिज IGCSE के जो रिजल्ट्स जो हैं AS और A लेवल के लिए भी बहुत ही अच्छे हैं, जैसे कि 12% ओवरऑल ग्रोथ हुआ है। AS लेवल यानी 11th में 16% की इंक्रीज हुई है, यानी 16% स्कूल्स AS लेवल पे आ चुके हैं, और A लेवल यानी 12th ग्रेड 8% एंट्रीज हैज बीन इंक्रीज्ड। So the most preferred subject, if you want to know it, is biophysics, chemistry, environmental management, business and global perspective। ये जो सब्जेक्ट्स हैं आज भी काफी डिमांड में हैं। अब मैं बात करना चाहता हूँ यहाँ पे जो हमारे विनय शर्मा, रीजनल डायरेक्टर फॉर इंटरनेशनल एजुकेशन इन साउथ एशिया, उन्होंने कुछ आंकड़े बताए हैं, और ये आंकड़े जिस तरीके से मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, दिस इज फ्रॉम द न्यूज़पेपर इटसेल्फ। ये आज की न्यूज़पेपर में डिक्लेयर हुआ है। अ टोटल ऑफ 447 schools in India participated in the March 2026 series, making it organization largest examination session in the country. The sharpest increase was seen in Cambridge International AS and A level examination. Overall, the entries for the qualification rose 12% compared with the previous year. Within this category, Cambridge International AS level entries increased by 16% and the highest growth rate across all qualification in the series, while Cambridge International A level entries rose by 8%. The most preferable subjects were mathematics, physics, chemistry, global perspective, environmental management. Cambridge stated that the consistency in subject choices across different qualification level reflected sustained student interest in science, technology, engineering, commerce related academic pathway. But आगे की बात अगर मैं आपको बताऊं तो यहाँ पे और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। वो क्या है? देखिए, strong growth is seen in Cambridge IGCSE, AS and A level subject like STEM, biology, global perspective, and most Indian students are choosing curriculum which is aligned with Indian, we call it as Indian syllabus, that is now in international university admissions, critical thinking, research based learning and skill oriented. Now the question comes here, why is international education growing in India? And this is the big problem for the other board, educational board, whether it is SSE or CBSE or ICSE. They are in danger, and the reason behind this is IGCSE is growing very fast. The SSE schools, CBSE schools are dropping their accreditation and preferring the IGCSE. One of the reason is big fat money. Yeah, that is one of the first reason. So why international education growing in India? First thing is dissatisfaction with traditional Indian board system. And what is that traditional board? We already know it is CBSE and state board, because they mostly emphasizes on memorization, coaching culture, marks over skills, and most important one is exam pressure. Recent debate around evaluation system and unpredictable result have intensified this concern. Online student discussion after CBSE 2026 results reflected frustration frustration over strict checking, digital evaluation and application based paper, and every time they need to change some or other way of examination style, which brings problem to the new batch. In contrast, where we see the Cambridge and IB curriculum, they are more analytical, skill based, research oriented, and moreover is internationally recognized. Okay, these were the reasons why international education is growing in India, and due to this maybe the SSC and CBSE school will be closing soon. Second reason is rise of global career aspiration. Indian student no longer preparing for the Indian university. By the way, IGCSE IB students are not preparing. They don't want to stay in India after their education. Everyone wants to move abroad, and that is what their destination is. Nobody wants to work in India or get education in India. And today's student aim for whether it is a UK university, US colleges, Europe, Singapore, Australia. The global career is in AI, biotechnology, finance and entrepreneurship, and environmental management, where they prefer their career in UK and US and European countries. This is what their first choice are. International curricula like Cambridge improve profile building, encourage interdisciplinary learning, and support admission board. This is especially attractive for the upper middle class urban families which are seeking global mobility. Moving to the third part is growth of STEM and biology. Okay, science, technology, engineering and mathematics here. So Cambridge reported increased interest in biology and STEM subject. This reflects larger global trends. Like for example, AI and biotech industries are booming. Medical and research careers are expanding, and Indian students are increasingly entering in biotechnology, neuroscience, nanotech, biomedical engineering and environmental science. The surge in biology is particularly interesting because Indian education has traditionally prioritized engineering over the life science. That is one of the reasons here why we are having larger reflection over this global trend. The fourth point is critical thinking is becoming a major skill. One of the fastest growing Cambridge subject is GP, which is also called as global perspective, and this subject develop a critical thinking, a research analysis, debate, collaboration, and most important is problem solving. And this is what the Cambridge is looking for. If you have the skills, you can easily sustain over the AI. These are exactly the skill which are demanded in 26 and in future. Modern universities, multinational companies or AI driven industries. India's traditional exam system fail with this, and Indian traditional exam system is largely focused on rote learning. I think you will support this point here, because we know CBSE, SSC all are still with the rote learning, while international board emphasizes on inquiry and independent thinking. The bigger reality of international education is becoming a status and opportunity symbol is because of the metropolitan cities in India. Now international schools are increasingly associated with like premium kind of education, a premium book, premium ground, you have food culture, cross culture there, and moreover is a big infrastructure. English fluency, foreign university pathway, career options like we have there, and then modern pedagogy and social prestige, which comes first. I think my child is going to international board, my child is going in AC bus, my child is having a tablet, my child is writing, working, he has very less work for writing part and more about analyzing part. So this is what the social prestige is also. Even the dressing style, the bag, the book, the infrastructure, it's kind of a holistic development. These all things brings to IGCSE into the limelight. Cities like Mumbai, Bengaluru, Pune, Delhi, NCR, and in the end it Hyderabad, which is making the best study culture for IGCSE, have seen a rapid expansion. Now these cities has seen a rapid expansion because this Cambridge, whether it is with Cambridge school, whether it is international baccalaureate schools or international preschools also, this is creating a parallel education system within India. We know there are two types of movies. One, we have a parallel social kind of movie, and the other one is Dhamakedar, Dhurandhar kind of movie. Dhurandhar kind of movie is for money purpose, for grab the money, whereas social kind of, or the other silent movies, or we can call it as a social movies, message kind of movies, they are making their money but very low. That is what the CBSE and SSC is. They are in the race, but that is for lower middle class and middle class, whereas IGCSE and IB, they are for the upper middle classes. Basically for upper and elite families only can prefer such kind of education, and if they can't, they will take a loan. That's what one of the reality is. Concern and criticisms are also there. Despite growth, international education in India still faces serious concern. One of the concern is high fee. International schools are very expensive. Mark my word, it is very, very expensive. Starts from either from 6 to 8 lakhs. We are talking for grade 10. It is from 6 to 12 to 15 lakhs. Whereas for IB, it goes to till 25 lakh per annum we are talking about. And moreover, that expensive fee accessible mainly to the elite families here, or elite. Okay, urban centric access. Most quality Cambridge or IB schools are concentrated in metro cities. Now let's see the cultural disconnect debate. Critics argue some international schools are over westernized education, reduce regional language importance, and disconnect student from Indian reality. And that is true also, because most of the IGCSE school has removed the Indian syllabus. Most of the IGCSE and IB schools do not include social studies, which is a main important thing for the student to understand Indian language, to understand the Indian government, to understand how this works and the history of Indian culture. But the Indian textbook or the social studies or social science textbook has been removed from the IGCSE schools. Basically the school do not opt for it, and they go for such kind of subject like for global perspective ICT, where the student has more demand and more money. So that is one of the things, that disconnection with the Indian realities. Inequality in education. India now also has one system focused on memorization and another one is focused on global competence. This educational divide have deepened social inequality. So we know that city people, or most of them are those who are going to such kind of schools, are having a global kind of career or global perspective way. They look to the global way, whereas SSC, CBSE kind of, or ICSE also finds it more difficult. They mostly focused on the memorization only. So what does this mean to the Indian education future? The 7% growth is not just an education that it reflects changing aspiration, globalization of Indian education, dissatisfaction with rote learning, and the rise of skill-based education models. But this also means that slowly SSC and CBSE schools are dying. The affiliation, they are getting down, they do not get the proper results, and finally every school want money in the end. They want profit because they have built such a big infrastructure. They have ground, they have mess, they have teachers, they have workers, and the most important part is the organization needs money to run this entire business, and for that they need profit, which is not from the CBSE or SSC school. So what they do is, rather than shut down the school, they basically shut down or run a parallel IGCSE and IB, and that is what the problem is. Slowly the CBSE and SSC school or ICSE schools will be getting down, and that's the reality fact. CBSE schools have come down by 15% in India. SSC schools in various states have dropped down to 28 to 30%. ICSE, if you talk, they are still moderating with 6 to 7% drop in Indian education system. So what's the conclusion after this video? But before that, let's make one more thing here. Now the real challenge is whether India can bring these modern education practice into mainstream schooling rather than limiting them to the elite institution. And the conclusion that I can draw from this kind of podcast, or you say from the audio podcast, is that the Cambridge March 2026 results revealed that Indian education is entering into a transition phase. Parents and students increasingly want four things. What is that? Flexibility, global opportunities for the future ready skills, and a meaningful learning experiences. The rise in international education demand shows that India's younger generation is preparing not for the exam but for the global future, and this global future is present in UK, USA and Germany, or you call it at Australian countries. They are not in India. Unfortunately, these students, the future of India is actually leaving India soon. By 2035 we will have very less students who will be working in India for India basically. So that was my conclusion from this result of Cambridge International Examination 2026. I'll be bringing you the topmost countries or the states which has secured the A star in IGCSE. See you in the next video, but please by the end of the video, very important thing, and that is, do take care of yourself and your parents. Respect them because they are the most important people in your life. Stay with them, support them, love them, and yeah, respect also. So do take care of yourself. See you in the next video, why some of the schools are having most A stars and why Hyderabadis are losing their star. Till then, take care. Bye.